Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic Thanksgiving. Enjoying football, food, stuff like that. If you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. I make NBA content. All these videos that get posted to this Reddit right here, I'll have it linked down below. I make updates with all the news that comes out throughout the day. You can ask me questions leading up to lock about the slate. I will be here sometimes after the slate if you need help with like night slate or anything like that. So that'll be linked down below. And then if you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can get a hold of me on X right here. And then if you're looking for more in-depth content where I give you guys like sportsbook plays, prize picks plays, whole bunch of stuff, I will have my Discord also linked down below too. Alrighty, let's get into my lineups from yesterday. No basketball today to go over. So we'll go over my lineup yesterday. Went pretty light yesterday. Did play some FanDuel. Didn't cash on FanDuel. I believe I played FanDuel. I'm not entirely sure. Or maybe that was 2 days ago. I'm not entirely sure, but I didn't cash. But this is my Draftkings lineup. Went with James Harden, Brandon Miller, Denny Saloon, Miles Turner, Kevin Porter Jr., Scotty Barnes, Andre Drummond. My core for this slate was Andre Drummond, Kevin Porter Jr., James Harden, Brandon Miller. So kind of a mid core. But luckily, low owned Scotty Barnes kind of got me there. He lost minutes due to the blow. I was a little disappointed in that. And then you guys knew how high I was on Denny. Even with Jeremy Grant in, still would have liked him. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Got different with Miles Turner. I didn't like clicking Saloon, but I also knew that he was going to be lower owned than the slate prior just because he killed a ton of people. And the minutes are very, very secure with him right now. Charlotte's pretty thin, so I was fine going there for value at 18%. That worked out massively. And then, yeah, went to Scotty Barnes, Miles Turner as my lower owned options. And, yeah, it ended up working out. Hopefully, you guys had a fantastic NBA day and a good Thanksgiving. And we got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 game slate for Black Friday. All right, let's go over it. Orlando, Brooklyn. Not the best spot here for both teams, to be honest, but we still have Paolo Banchero out. We have Wanacar Jr. back. Last game, they went with the starting lineup of Wanacar Jr. and Goga Patate together. I would expect them to do that again. I would also expect Wanacar Jr. to remain on some type of limit. So it's kind of hard to go there, right? So they went with Franz, Jalen Suggs, Goga, Wanacar Jr., and KCP. So kind of tough, yeah, to go to Wanacar Jr. at that price point with him being on some type of limit. Goga Patate is still in play at 5.4K. I would expect 25 to 30 minutes. His usage does get a little bit hurt playing alongside Wanacar Jr., but still went for 38 fantasy points, so I still have interest in Goga. I think the main interest here is just Franz at 9.6K. Just continues to be absolutely incredible. I know he had a down game last game up against Chicago, but in competitive games you should see close to 40 minutes. Go-to guy. He's running the point right now for this team. I think he's a really good spend up. Looking at the spend ups on the board, I mean, yeah, there's fine options. I would say Fran's probably going to be one of the more popular ones if I had to guess. But yeah, I think Franz looks great. And then Suggs, I don't mind either. He had a massive game last game. Good defender. Need him out there for defense. He'll have the ball in his hands a decent amount. As long as the game stays close, should play close to 40 minutes as well, but I do prefer Franz to Suggs. Kind of went over the bigs there. Off the bench, you're going to see mainly Anthony Black and Jonathan Isaac. If I had to pick one, I think it would be Isaac at 4-2, who didn't lose any minutes with them starting alongside each other. Now, if you get one of the bigs off the bench, like Wanacar Jr. coming off the bench, then that's going to hurt like Isaac, Mo Wagner a little bit more. But Jonathan Isaac should play around 20 minutes. Good point per minute guy. I think he's a reasonable value. And then Anthony Black, bad game last game. Holy. Alright, luckily this is the early lock because it's kind of tough to go over right now. But Cam Thomas, Dennis Schroeder out. We have Cam Johnson, Nicholas Claxton, Dorian Finney-Smith, Jalen Wilson, questionable. Obviously, Bojan out and Clowney out. So yeah, it's kind of tough to go over right now. If we get everyone in, I think starters are going to be something like Cam Johnson. Nicholas Claxton in his first game back came off the bench. I believe it was this game. So I would expect him to move into the lineup. So it'd be like what? Cam Johnson, Nick Claxton, Ben Simmons at the point, Dorian Finney-Smith, Zaire Williams would be my guess. If that's the case, Cam Johnson going to be their go-to guy. Going to have to do everything for this team. His ceiling would be massive. Keep an eye on the minutes limit for Claxton if he's going to be on some type of limit. Ben Simmons, I would expect around 25 to 30 minutes from me. He's going to have the ball in his hand a ton. I really like him at 5.3K for value. Dorian Finney-Smith gets a bump. Even these values, I like Zaire Williams a ton. Then you're going to have to see a lot more like Jalen Wilson, Trendon Watford, Shake Milton I like for value. So there's definitely even Tyrese Martin. There's definitely going to be some good plays on Brooklyn. Now, if we get like everyone out, then you're going to need some Brooklyn. Then starters, do they start just Ben at the point? I don't know if they have enough bodies. Like, they might just have to go Ben at the point and like where Watford at the 5, and then Zaire Williams, Tyrese Martin, and then someone else. Or they can just go Ben back to the 5 and then start one of those guards and like Shake Milton or Keon Johnson, and then Zaire, even Watford, etc. So there's a number of ways. This is the early game, so I'll make updates on what is this player. This is like a made-up name. I don't even know who that is, but yeah, let's say everyone's out. You're going to need some Brooklyn. First off, Ben Simmons will look great. I'd absolutely love Zaire Williams. Watford, I'd love for value. Shake Milton, I'd love for value. Keon Johnson, I'd love for value. All these value plays would look phenomenal if all these guys are out. So, yeah, I'll make updates on Reddit when we get that news, but you're most likely going to need some Brooklyn tomorrow for sure. Moving on to the Clippers. Not the best spot here going up against Minnesota. We could have Norm Powell back. I would expect Norm Powell to be on some type of limit, so he wouldn't be in play for me. James Harden, I think, is a good contrarian play on the slate. I think people aren't going to want to click him due to the matchup going up against Minnesota, but usage is fantastic right now, so I do like Harden as a contrarian spin up. Another play I like in GPPs is going to be Zubac, another one where people might be scared to click him because of the matchup. The matchup's actually fine in Minnesota. Should play high 30s minutes as long as the game stays competitive. The price point went down, so I'm high on both the top two guys in GPPs. And if we get like Pal out, yeah, I think Kevin Porter Jr. is a fair value, even though he burned everyone last night. And then Chris Dunn, Amir Coffey, Derek Jones, they'll look similar to me. I think Chris Dunn would be my favorite. He's a decent value depending on how much value. Like if we get that Brooklyn value, there's no way I'm playing any other value than Brooklyn value tomorrow. There's just no way, right? Moving on to Minnesota. Not the best spot here going up against the Clippers. They're going to be fully healthy for this one. Looks like Mike Conley's going to play in this one as well. That kind of hurts like Dante. It hurts everyone else. Rob Dillingham was still in the rotation. Mike Conley probably be my favorite value at 4.6K. They just don't trust Dante right now. And I think you want to jump on that streak. Like, if Mike Conley is going to continue to get over 30 minutes, he should be like a 5.4K player. And if with them not trusting Dante right now, you might want to hop on that train a little bit early. So I think Mike Conley is a little bit sneaky right now as a value. I do like him. Naz Reid should see mid-20s minutes. I think 4.7K is a little bit too cheap for him, so another value I do like. My two favorite values here. Not going to play McDaniels. I can't play Dante. I think Rudy Gobert is just too cheap at 6.5K. You guys know I always like Rudy Gobert and GPPs. And then Randall and just indifferent on those two guys. I think they're, of course, in play. Moving on to Detroit. Fine spot here going up against the Pacers. Keep an eye on Cade and Tobias news. If we get Cade and Tobias in, Cade's going to shoot up, as long as no limit, to one of the best spend-ups on the board. I would absolutely love him tomorrow if he plays and no limit. And then everyone else would just be priced right because they got their prices up when Cade has been out. Now, if we get the same situation that happens with Detroit yesterday, tomorrow, then you should get Ozzer Thompson in the starting lineup. Let me take a sip of water. Sorry, guys. Should get Ozzer Thompson in the starting lineup, and then you'll get more run for like Ron Holland. And then Marcus Sasser played a lot last game. Jaden Ivey would be their go-to guy, would lead the team in usage. Him, Malik Beasley, would like him in GPPs. Still like at 7K, just going to do everything for this team. Game blew out last game, had a bit of a down game. Jalen Duren at 6.1K, just fine for me. I think I'd rather play Rudy Gobert at a similar price point. Malik Beasley has a ceiling, don't mind that. And then I would like Ozzer Thompson for value if he starts again for Tobias Harris, who's pacing for more minutes than 20. We know last season he was a pretty good point per minute guy that can stuff the stat sheet, so keep an eye on that. Would like Ozzer for value. And then Marcus Sasser's playable if those guys are out. I wouldn't expect 27 minutes again. I believe he got extended due to the blowout, but I would normally expect like high teens minutes, which does make him firmly in play at that price point. Then you see a bit more Ron Holland as well if Tobias Harris is out, and Simone. All right, moving on to the Pacers. They're going to still be without these main three guys here. Tyrese, is he back? Is he back? Good spot going up against Detroit. Is he finally back? I mean, he's been low owned every slate, and I've been saying, like him as a bounce back. Like him as a bounce back. No one's playing him. I have a feeling he's going to be really popular tomorrow, but he might be back. He might be back. He's stuffing the stat sheet. He's looking a lot more aggressive on the offensive end. So, yeah, if he is back, he is far too cheap at 8.5K. I like Miles Turner quite a bit too at 6 points. His minutes compared to last year to this year is so much better. Good spot going up against Detroit too. $5, a little bit of an outlier, but good scorer, can shoot a ton from three. I think it's a decent spot. So yeah, I would put him in that like Rudy Gobert group. I might prefer Miles to Rudy Gobert. Siakam's fine at 7.2. I like Mathurin quite a bit. I don't know why the price point still went down after last game. I just don't understand. Just don't get it. Yeah, gonna grab a ton of rebounds. He has the highest usage rate on this team, and he's 6.3K. I just don't understand it. What are we doing? I really like Mathurin in the mid-range here. McConnell's fine. Quentin Jackson's been starting. He's a playable value. Decent value, actually. All right, let's move on to Toronto. Grady Dick going to be out for this one. They just randomly started Jacoby Walter, I believe, last game. I mean, listen, if they're going to start Walter again, no Dick as well, and give him 30 minutes. Now, he definitely got extra run due to the blowout, but yeah, of course, really like him for value, assuming he starts again. Then you'll see a bit more Sheed as well. Or no, who got the most run? Where was he? Was it Battle? It's Battle, yeah. But game minutes due to the blowout. But yeah, if we get Jacoby Walter starting at the flat min price, of course, yeah, would really like him. Scotty Barnes, I love tomorrow. Don't care about the matchup. His role with no quickly is just absolutely elite. I absolutely love Scotty Barnes tomorrow. RJ Barrett's fine, but give me Scotty Barnes all day. Great matchup here for Jakob Poeltl. Another center play I'm really high on in GPPs. I prefer Poeltl to Zubac tomorrow. Oche, I'm not going to chase that game. I guess it's fine with no Dick, but I'm not going to chase it. Davion should see more run, but not loving it. It's mainly the values here. And then Scotty Barnes, and I'm really, really high on Jakob Poeltl tomorrow. Great spot here for Miami. Everyone's probable. Duncan, I would expect to continue to remain in the starting lineup, and when he is shooting the ball well, he will get extended. This is the type of ceiling he has, so another GPP value that I like tomorrow. Bam Adebayo, great spot for him. Another center play I am very high on in GPPs. I think Butler's fine. He got benched last game. Terry Rozier coming off the bench at 5.5, can't go there. If we get like him in the starting lineup, then that price point would be a little bit too cheap. But main interest here is I like Duncan Robinson and Bam Adebayo. Let's move right along. Boston, Kristaps Porzingis back. I would expect him to continue to be on a limit here. Kind of hurts everyone. So, like, I think everyone's just kind of there for me. I think Drew Holiday's a little bit too cheap, but Derek White's priced right. Great spot here going up against Chicago. So, like, I am pretty high on both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum at their respective price points in this matchup going up against Chicago. But I think, like, can't get to Porzingis on a limit. I mean, you could in large field GPPs if you think they uptick his minutes to like 25 to 30 minutes. In this matchup, he could still nuke it. And I think like Derek White's priced right. But mainly the top guys I'm pretty high on. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum in a great spot going up against Chicago. Not going to get to the value here. I think we'll have much, much better value. And then Drew Holiday does seem a tad bit too cheap at $5,000. So, yeah, main interest Drew Holiday. Really like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Moving on to Chicago. Keep an eye on the Kobe White news. Lonzo Ball is probable. And then we have Patrick Williams out. If Kobe White is out, I wonder what they do here. They'd start Vooch, Levine, Giddey, Io. Do they move a Matas in the starting lineup? Or do they continue to play Levine at power forward and move someone else in? I really don't know. Just keep an eye on it, but if Kobe White's out, it's going to be a bump to everyone. We still have Patrick Williams out, so like Io would have to play a boatload of minutes here. He'd be a good point per dollar play. Giddey, his minutes would be a lot safer. I'd like him at 6.5. Still have interest in Levine, Vooch, and then whoever starts would be a good value too. And then you'll probably see a bit more like, I don't know, THT as well at 3.1K. He'd have to play a bit more. I'd have interest in him for value. He'll probably be chalk tomorrow if Kobe White's out. So, yeah, keep an eye on that. It's pretty important. Could have some value. Could have some good plays on Chicago. Moving on to OKC, Jalen Williams is in. Great spot here. SGA, I think one of my more favorite spend ups on the board. Really like SGA up at the top. Just doing everything for this team. His potentials are way up from last year too. So, and then J-Dub has just continued to impress. I have no issue paying this price point for him. And then I like Hartenstein. Got in a massive foul trouble last game. As long as he avoids it, I think he's going to play all the minutes he can handle. 6.8K, another center play I'm pretty high on, even at that price point. Joe started last game. He's fine for value. And then to see a bit more Kaysen off of the bench. All right, Lakers. D'Lo fair value, but I would expect Connect to continue starting. If that's the case, he's going to play all the minutes he can handle. I love Connect. I think he's one of the better values. I would rank him up there with like the Nets value if we get those guys out, and Jacoby Walter. So yeah, assuming he continues to start, which I would expect him to, he looks fantastic for value tomorrow. I'm not going to get to Rui. I think Reeves is kind of different on. I think LeBron and AD are really good spend ups as well. Both seem a little bit too cheap to me. Last game of the night here, Sacramento. Great spot for them. I'm pretty high on DeMar DeRozan at 7.8K. It's specifically a fantastic matchup for him. Assuming he's not on some type of limit, I would expect close to 40 minutes here. Great spot for him. Another GPP play I think will go a little bit overlooked tomorrow. And then I don't mind Fox. I think Sabonis is fine too. I think DeMar is my favorite. Malik Monk at 5.4K. Some interest there. And then Keon Ellis should start, but a little better value opening up. Moving on to Portland, we got Grant doubtful, so you guys know what to do. Fire up Denny. I think he's one of my favorite mid-range plays on the board. He looks fantastic. And then you saw Scoot play a ton of minutes last game off the bench. Some interest there. Delano Banton got his minutes cut. And then, yeah, Sharp Simons are going to play all the minutes they can handle. I think everyone on Portland is just too cheap tomorrow. Ayton, Sharp, Simons, Denny. So I like all of Portland tomorrow. I like Scoot too. It's not a great thing to like, but they are all far too cheap. Just the matchup's bad, but yeah, I am pretty high on Portland and GPPs tomorrow. They're just going to run a tight rotation. You have all these guys that are far too cheap, especially DeAndre Ayton. So yeah, I like Portland quite a bit tomorrow. All right, that's going to do it for the slate, guys. I hope you guys had a fantastic Thanksgiving. I will talk to you all in the next video.